And welcome back. It is the Big High School Sports Show presented by K5 Construction here on 98.9 WXCO, online at WXCO.FM, mobile devices and Alexa by searching WXCO, and on the Civic Media app. Along with BJ Brandt, I'm Chad Holmes as we go through this Wednesday evening. Again, it's a perfect night to talk about hockey. It's so cold outside. You have those frozen ponds ready to go after a couple of days of what we're going to get. But not one, but two student-athlete guests. Thanks again to Tyler Bars for joining us from Mosinee, and now very happy to welcome to the program from the Central Wisconsin Storm, defending state champs. I'm sure you always enjoy hearing that. Gabi Heuser. Gabi, thanks for coming on over.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And get you a little closer to that microphone so everybody in Central Wisconsin can hear you. That's what we want to hear. But early in the season, and the Storm, it's always interesting, so different because you're not in a conference. So basically every game is important in terms of trying to get to where you want to be, which is, of course, a number one seed, and then, of course, trying to get back to state and winning a state championship. And you've started off with a couple of tournaments in addition to the one game down in Stevens Point that I was able to see your team play. 5 games in, 4 wins, 1 loss. What's your overall impression with this group of Central Wisconsin Storm players? Are you feeling pretty good about where the team is at this point of the season?
Oh, yeah. The team is just great. The girls are buzzing right now. Everybody's, getting along really well so far, which is really awesome to see. And we just have so much talent on the team. Like, it's just such a talented group of girls, and we can work so well together. And I think, you can make lines any way you want, and it would just work out so well because everybody's just, having a good time out there. And I think we've played really strong so far. I was talking to you before the show, and we were just kind of talking about how if we can just get those penalties under control, I think that we're looking pretty good because when we're playing 5-on-5 or if we're, up on a power play, I don't think there's a team in the state that we're really too afraid to face.
We'll delve a little bit more into this year's team, but I got to ask you because, it's rare to have the opportunities to win the hardware like you've had. I mean, you're a senior now, and you've been part of 2 state championship teams. I want to ask you, maybe, was there a difference between when you won as a freshman and then when you won as a junior? The feeling around it, because obviously, you're very young, your first year, and winning a state championship during the 2022 state tourney, and then doing it again in 2024. Any difference in the two?
I think that the difference in the two kind of comes in that gap year in there where, I think freshman year, he came in and I was just so grateful for every opportunity I had. I was just happy to be on the ice at all. So, when I was able to, personally to be in that game and score 2 goals,
yeah.
One empty net one, but
they still count.
They don't ask how, they ask how many.
Exactly.
And, that was just a super cool feeling for me, just having that opportunity to be there. And I think it really got hammered home the next year when Hayward beat us in the sectionals. And last season, we won it again, and it just felt so different because I felt what it was like to kind of lose in that situation, and it also felt like time was kind of running out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Being my junior year, I knew that senior year is right around the corner, and it just meant something different that time around.
Real quick, BJ, I know that you've said this to me in the past. I can't remember which year it was, but there was a year that West had lost. In a playoff, and I think it was that was the champion. It was in 2010.
2010.
Yeah, that you lost a championship that you needed to lose to almost to win. Does that make any sense?
Pete would tell you the same thing. It's just a maturity thing, and you go through it one time and see how close you can get to it, and then you realize there was just a tiny little piece that was missing, or there was a change that needed to be made, and that's a big part of the process sometimes is getting close and realizing it fires you up and you want to get there again and do it again.
You have a question for Gabi?
Yeah, Gabi, you're a multi-sport athlete. You've played a lot of sports in your life. Like, talk about how they all connect you to the sport of hockey and what's your favorite sport and what you love about it.
That's always a hard one.
What's my favorite sport? Yeah, I've played so many sports ever since I was little, and you kind of talking about that. And it all just, has just made me more athletic, I think. And I always talk to my good friend, Dr. Bouch, about he just loves the fact that, I can be on one skate, almost flipped over, and I can still kind of get a shot off because I've just kind of played so many sports. Like right now, probably my second favorite sport is lacrosse, and I just love to play that. It's similar with the stick and things like that, but just a lot of hand-eye coordination, a lot of being able to watch how people move around on the field is very similar to the ice and things like that. And just, staying active, having fun with it, and using my kind of more off-season sports, I'd probably call them, just to get better at being an athlete, just having fun.
Something that I've noticed over the years, and I think the numbers actually bear it out, is when you do get to the playoffs, when you do get to the bigger games, your numbers do seem to grow. And I mean, I think and I was looking actually at your career numbers, and in the postseason, you scored 8 goals. I mean, that's a lot of goals in postseason, especially because the Storm don't play that many playoff games. Because in terms of the bracket, you get to the state tournament rather quickly. Do you have a sense in those bigger moments? Do you feel like there's something that fits you in these kind of games where you have stood out? You mentioned as a freshman getting a couple of goals, and then every year you've been able to be a factor in the postseason. Is there something special about that for you?
I honestly think it's less something special about me and more about kind of what everybody else does. I think a lot of people, get into playoffs and they kind of freak out. And, they're changing their whole pregame routine. They're stretching differently. They maybe warm up like an extra 15 minutes, things like that. They're gripping their stick a little bit tighter. But, I go into every game with the same mentality of I'm just going to do my best. And, I've done all the preparations beforehand. Like, we do practice, every single day and things like that. So I know I'm already as prepared as I can be. So when I walk into that game, I'm usually more calm than a lot of the other girls will be. And I think that honestly is what kind of can set me apart in a lot of those situations, because it's not me who changes. I have the same body, the same skills, and my mindset stays the same. And I think a lot of girls kind of fall off the tracks a little bit there. And I mean, it's always just more fun to score on somebody when you're ending their season. So
again, we're talking to Gabi Heuser from the Central Wisconsin Storm here on the Big High School Sports Show. Oh, by the way, I always ask the kids from the Storm, which school do you go to? Because there's so many of them.
I go to Wausau West.
And always like to find out, because, I mean, you put together West and East and DC Everest and Mosinee and sometimes some others. There are challenges in co-ops, and there's also, I think, opportunity within co-ops. What's the biggest challenge of being in a co-op? Because you practice at different rinks. I mean, there's you don't see your teammates in the halls of school during the day. What would be the biggest challenge of being part of a co-op?
I would say the biggest challenge is the rinks. Honestly, it's kind of tough. Every Monday we call it Mosinee Monday. Worst day of the week. No offense to Mosinee. We, have to.
You know what I think of that place.
You love it, Chad.
So I'm on your bandwagon for that.
Yeah, it's pretty cold there, and you got to drive from my house. It's like about 20 minutes out of the way, so it's just a little bit like and just. Yeah, just everybody having to move our bags is also really annoying. We don't have a locker room at most of the rinks. We only have a locker room at Marathon Park, so that's probably the toughest part, is just kind of having to coordinate everything there.
What's the best part of being part of a co-op?
I have so many friends. I love to meet new people, so it's just super awesome to, make friends on the other side of the river and things like that. It's just super dope to, when I go to a football game and it's like West versus Everest, and then I can kind of go over to the other studio and say hi to a bunch of people that I know. I think it's cool, and there are a lot of people who I never would have met if it hadn't been for the co-oping of our team, and I think that's super cool.
Talk a little bit about the balance of being a high school athlete. I mean, obviously you've got the academic side, social side, volunteer side. You're trying to build a resume throughout your career. Talk about that balance and the positives and negatives for you with that.
Oh, loaded question there. So it's tough. It can get really stressful and things like that. But my most important thing is I always have my family, my friends around me, and my teammates, and it's taught me a lot about how to advocate for myself. I can always talk to my coach and say, hey, I have a really big test tomorrow. I need to leave practice a little bit early and study or something like that. And that's taught me a lot. Or talking to my teachers like, hey, I'm going to miss a game and things like that. Or not miss a game. I'm going to miss school for a game. And it's just taught me a lot about how much I can handle, and just shows me how I can do hard things. And that's something that I really repeat to myself a lot, is you can do hard things. And I use that kind of every single day, because there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of things to do. I wake up in the morning, go to school, kind of grit my way through school, and then I go straight to the rink for a good long while, and Coach loves to give us off ice. And then I go home, do some homework, and then I go to bed and repeat. But I wouldn't have it any other way because I love the sport. I honestly really do enjoy school. I love learning about anything, and it's a lot to balance, but it'll be very useful later on in life as well.
What is your favorite class in school?
Right now, AP Computer Science. I really enjoy programming and things like that. I also really enjoy my AP. Honestly, I love them all. Like my calc class, I love physics. My Spanish class is super awesome. It's a little bit tough, but I still really enjoy it.
Do you have a favorite teacher?
I love them all. I honestly, I'm pretty happy at school most of the time, except for when they give me a lot of work to do. But I really like my Spanish teacher, Senora Weber. She's super, super kind.
Are you looking to go to college?
Yeah, actually, I've been kind of quiet about it, but I did verbally commit to go to MSOE, Milwaukee School of Engineering, the last week.
Will you be playing hockey there?
Mm-hmm.
As you look at your game, because, and I know that BJ knows this as well, that when you take that next step, there are things you have to be better at. What are the areas that you feel like you have to work on to take that next step to, number one, continue to get better for the Storm here this year and try to add a third championship to your already impressive resume? But as you look forward, what is maybe some of the things that you feel like you have to think about to be ready for that next step?
I think to be ready for the next step, all I have to do is kind of keep my head down and keep working. I think, obviously, there's always physical things that you have to get better at. Like, I can always get stronger, I can always get faster, things like that. I think mentally, I just have to kind of learn a little bit more of kind of just reading plays, developing more patterns. I already love to be able to tell, where the puck's going to be before it gets there, but I think definitely working more on, again, just being able to read those plays, see where I'm at, and see where the puck's going to be and play there. And all that just takes time and more reading patterns, watching film, things like that.
Talk a little bit about the recruiting process for you. I mean, obviously you've had success in your high school career and you've making the commitment to MSOE, a nice Division III program, and the NCHA, and it's a good conference, and just talk a little bit about that process.
So the process was actually surprisingly easy for me. I didn't have that many options because I knew I wanted to do some type of engineering, and I knew I wanted to find a nice D3 school in the Midwest. And after you put those factors in, it really narrows down the search. And I was going to go to a Midwest exposure camp, and before that I sent out an email to their coach, and she got back to me. She was super, super kind, Coach Bailey, just the sweetest person I've ever met. Also, I know that one of the old Storm players, Hannah Bauman, had transferred this year and is playing at MSOE. And I thought that was super cool. And so I went to the camp, got to meet up with the coach in person, just kind of talked to her a little bit. Then we had a phone call, and that went super well. And then I just kind of stayed in contact with her and waited for my acceptance into the school because I had to wait for the academic part. And once I got that, I was pretty confident. And and then she called me the other week, and just kind of told me that I had a roster spot, and I was just over the moon.
Does it take a weight off when the decision is made? Because I know that there's a lot that goes into it, but now do you feel like, now I can just really enjoy my senior year?
Yeah, it took so much weight off my shoulders just knowing that I kind of had a home, I had somewhere to go, and I have somewhere to look forward to and keep working towards. It was a big, big weight. I don't have to think about texting coaches, and I don't have to worry about the fact that, this now won't be my last season playing hockey, so I don't think that, I don't have to get as tense when I'm on the ice. I think that it's just super relaxing to know that I can keep working hard for the future.
When you look at your team, and your next game is Saturday against St. Croix Valley, which is always a good program as well, and for folks out there, we will have that game right here on this very radio station, which is always fun. As you look at your squad, what is the area that you've been around the block, what success is and what needs to be happening for success? What is the biggest question mark in your mind for your team that you have to get better at as you continue this very long process that every winter sports season is?
I would honestly say just we gotta stay out of the box. We gotta play clean, and we just have to keep working as a team. I think we have to look on the positive side, and honestly, the positive side for ourselves. We've done very well this year at telling each other, hey, like, good job, good effort that shift. But I think a lot of times you'll see girls come back to the bench and just kind of sit there and think like, oh, like I had a bad shift. They get kind of sad on themselves. And I think that the other night we actually had Dr. Bouch come in and talk to us a little bit and have us work as a team to just kind of figure out how to reset ourselves and be more confident in our own abilities. And I think that that'll be super big for us. And I think that, when we go into corners, we got to keep our hands down, we got to keep our feet moving. But overall, like I said before, we just have so much talent on this team. They're just a lovely group of girls, and we just have to keep working together.
Anything else, BJ?
Well, you're going to MSOE. That's a super specific place, right? You're going to be studying some engineering of some type. What if you had to pick a major right now, what would that be, and why?
Yeah, that one's tough because I really have. It's tough because I really enjoy a lot of the parts of engineering, and there's just so many different things. But I would say right now I'm probably leaning more towards computer science just because I really enjoy learning about all that kind of online stuff and programming things and all that. So,
what do you like to do to relax? Because it sounds like you got a lot on your plate with your studies, with your sports. But everybody needs that time, I think, to reset. What do you do to reset a little bit, or just to do something a little different that you enjoy?
Just kind of take my time. When I go home, I'll listen, like in the car and stuff. I like to listen to a lot of music, and that'll really help me out. When I get home, I love talking to my family. They've been super, super big for me this past year, just making me the person that I am, and I really, really love my family so much. And, texting my friends are always a great place to go if I'm really stressed out. I always talk to my girlfriend about things, and just overall, just leaning on the people around me to just have a good time. My family loves watching game shows. Every week we watch Survivor and The Floor, very good show. So just spending time with loved ones.
Very good. Any final questions, BJ, or should I go to my final question?
No, I just I look forward to watching this team. Obviously, I have a lot of angles to be interested in it, but I really enjoyed what I've seen you guys do so far, and look forward to watching you guys on your journey.
As we get to, we always wrap up. Last question is, especially for a senior who's been around the block a few times, obviously, based on your experiences and, everything that you've gone through over the last 3.5 years, for somebody that's just starting, maybe as a member of the Storm program or the lacrosse program, whatever it may be, based on your experiences, what piece of advice would you give somebody that is just starting their high school journey as a freshman?
Surround yourself with love. Do things that you love, and love what you do every single day. Even if it's tough, just find something to be grateful for. Be grateful for the people around you, the things that you have, and things go by pretty quickly. So just love.
You think they go fast quickly now. Wait till you get to my age. But Gabi, Heuser, it's been a pleasure watching you over the last 3+ years now. Look forward to seeing you on Saturday on the ice against St. Croix Valley. Best of luck the rest of your senior year. Best of luck when you head off to MSOE. And thank you for coming on in.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Gabi Heuser at the Central Wisconsin Storm. We'll take a timeout, come back. One more segment to go here on this Wednesday evening. Big High School Sports Show presented by K5 Construction on 98.9 WXCO.